Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Collective. We are here to inform the world about all kinds of things. But first of all, I do want to say, Sam, great to see you again, man. We haven't had you on in a while, and you've been off trotting around the world and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So let's go. Good to have you
Thanks
back.
for having me back.
Always good. That's one of the reasons why we're late. We're going to jump right into this. Sean started chirping right off the bat.
I don't mind. I'll jump in right now and do a little bit more chirping. And here's the deal: for anyone who's listening to this right now, it live or not, what we have is a little thing called the green room. So that exists when you're not recording. So for the last few minutes, we've been chirping in the green room and having a blast, catching up on ourselves, catching up on our own little lives and our own little group and having a few laughs and I love the green room, man. Sometimes it gets serious after the potty, but I mean, with good people, it's a good place to hang out.
It really is. It really is awesome. And, unfortunately, people don't get to see the green room, but
Mhm.
if they wanted to, actually hang out with us more often, they should, like the show. They should subscribe. They should hit the notification bell because then they get an email right away that says, "Hey, the collective is on. You should go watch."
I
And
mean,
then,
you said something there that's not entirely true.
did I?
Hmm.
Please inform me.
Well, I was thinking where you said the something along the lines of, people can't understand what's going on in the green room.
Oh, I said they can't see what goes
Yeah,
on in the green room.
right. But
They
that's not
physically can't
entirely
see it.
true.
Well, the guests can see it, I guess.
Hmm. That's true. And so I suppose if someone wanted to see what goes on in the green room,
Oh, that's a good point.
they could consider becoming a guest.
That is a very good point. You could join us on the collective, and
I'm just
then you
trying to
could
think
actually be a part
outside
of
of
it.
the little box called the green room.
Ooh, thinking outside of the box. Well done. Well done. Well, I'm going to
I
go
didn't
back.
get the matching mug memo.
Oh, he didn't
Dude,
get.
I know.
Oh, it's hard to.
Have you seen the movie Heartbreak Ridge, buddy? With
Well,
Clint
that's an
Eastwood.
old one.
It
I
is.
have
It's an
a
old
long
classic,
time ago.
right? Well, when
Mhm.
Gunny Highway shows up every morning for PT, the troops at the start all show up with all their raggedy T-shirts. They're all out of no one's matchy match. Gunny's in one T-shirt that says "I'm Gunny and I'm rad," and everyone else doesn't have that T-shirt. So take off your T-shirts. Let's go for a run. That keeps happening until the boys get their gear squared away, and then they match Gunny Highway, and then it's good to go. Right now, you've got to figure out how to match Gunny Chance. That's what you got to
Yeah,
do.
you
Yeah,
maybe
I
need to
guess.
get some collective T-shirts made.
Dude,
Maybe.
you know what? He talks a good merch game. Talk, action,
Fact and non-verba. I
deeds,
got
not
you.
words.
Don't worry, I got you. First off, Jassa, good afternoon. Good to see you. Winterstorm, good morning. Always good to see you as well. And speaking of merch, my version 2.0 of these mugs. So this particular mug was going to be on sale on the website. I got the initial order in, and they weren't quite perfect.
They're good. They're
They look good,
great,
but
but they're not perfect.
they weren't perfect. So
Mm.
my version 2 should be in my mailbox in a next day or two. Once I have those and they're good to go, it'll be on the website, and then everyone can wake up in the morning and do their best.
Dude, nothing would please me more than to see Sam in jolly old England with a coffee
Mhm.
mug in his hand that says "Do your best."
Yeah.
That'd
And
be
the benefit
freaking
is,
fantastic.
so for you haven't seen this yet, Sam, but this is actually this is my left hand. I don't know if you can tell, but
Okay.
so if you're right-handed and you drink it normally, it tells you to do your best as you're drinking it.
Let's
Mm.
see.
Even do
Versus,
better. Do even
yeah,
better.
Do
This is what
better.
should be on the other side.
do better is going to be. Oh, you know what? That might be mug 3.0.
But no one cares on the other side.
No one cares.
Only you care, brah.
Ooh, I like that. And I got a shirt design in my head right now that as soon as we're done here, I'm actually going to be going on the website to design and make it a reality.
I think the mug should say this: "Do your best, even if you are drinking tea." For the English guys, what I'm just saying.
Well,
No,
it
you're
doesn't.
right.
It doesn't say do your best with coffee. It just says do your best. So
You
I
can't
mean,
do as well with tea as you can with coffee. Everyone knows that coffee is king and tea is number two.
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in agreement. Perfect. We can shut
That's too
down the
bad.
podcast.
I was hoping to hook Sam in there.
I'm a coffee drinker through.
That's okay. So, Taxel, afternoon. Hi, good to see you. Do you guys have any thoughts? Anything off the top of your head? Anything percolating before we? I have a
There's
thought
something
from today,
percolating
but
with me about
what do you
you
got?
keep pulling guard on these videos and not getting cross grip.
Oh, yeah. You know, I watched the video myself last night and I thought, how many times has Chance Burles predictably done that move? Because your
So many.
partner was
Oh, he knew
about
it,
12
100%.
steps ahead
yeah.
of you before you even tap bumped, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. That is my my standard go-to. Is
Oh,
use
you
my
can
length,
see it. Yeah.
and it is and
If you
Braven
changed
especially.
your grip from stand up to your traditional grip to cross grip, you'd be far more effective.
Agreed. I thought the same thing.
I can do that. I can definitely do that. And
Yay,
hopefully it'll
guess
trip
with
him out.
pro tips.
Yes, I like it. The funny thing is that Braven was a blue belt when I first started, and so he's a 19-year-old brown belt right now, and he's freaking.
I got told a piece of advice when I was in Brazil for the first time off a black belt when I pulled. Well, we started off on the ground, but I kind of went on my back, and he just stopped and went, "Why would you ever put yourself on your back against someone better?" And I've never ever forgot it. And I played top game ever since that day. And don't get me wrong, in the club, obviously I'll pull guard. I'll mess around. I'll never pull guard from standing. I always throw, but yeah, on the ground I'll lay on my back. But if you're rolling with someone better, why would you lay on your back?
Now I got a question for you. So when that happened, that moment when you got on your back and you're in Brazil, and did he look at you disdainfully? Like,
No, he
or
was cool.
did he look cool, or what was it that
he just looked at me like I was an idiot?
Okay, yeah. Good.
Just sheer disappointment, right?
This is like going back 2004, 2005. You know, this is a long time ago. But yeah.
But I mean, sometimes the reason I ask the question is because you know now that, well, you've learned the lesson. I mean, he imparted the lesson on you in that moment. But there's many ways that lesson can be imparted. And if he would have done it a bunch of other ways, it might not have sank in for a guy like you. But what he did was he chose the either rightly or wrongly in his head, either strategically or not. Maybe he got lucky and he interacted with you in that moment that gave a positive outcome for you for the rest of your career. He could have played it a different way and it never would have sank in. So do you think he was intellectual in that moment, or was he just defaulting to a dismissive, not another one of these guys?
Oh, that's a good question. I wouldn't have a good enough memory to say or the knowledge of the man, but however he imparted his knowledge, it worked. So
it worked. I suppose that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Did you get the feeling like it was just a sheer disappointment from like his side? We're just like, oh god.
Well, it was just one of those moments where you think, yeah, why would I? Why would I lay on my back for someone better than me to just pass my guard and submit me?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna keep that in mind.
I do also realize that I have a bit of a pet hate for sacrifice throws and pulling guards. So I'm not saying it's bad technique. It's just my it's called a sacrifice throw for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bad technique unless it's a 10 out of 10 every time.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, if you're standing up and you're taking that option and thinking 4 out of 10 times this works, no, I'm not choosing that option.
100%.
And you know, the funny thing is when I'm rolling with Braven specifically, when I first started rolling with him, I was uber aggressive. I was trying to get him to pin him down to actually stop him because he's so fluid and mobile. And he would just use that against me left, right, and center. So I started falling back on to, you know, trying to pull guard or trying to use my length or trying to extend him a little bit, but he's also my height. So
yeah, he is. In fact, he looks a little bit tall. He's a tall streak of cabbage, man.
He really is. And he is super flexible and really fast.
But the beauty of the gi, you can slow people down. In no gi, I
yeah.
can understand with the flexibility and the speed, 100%. That does have a good effect. But with the gi, there's little things you can do, you know, like gripping onto that belt. Just you can wrap them up, and that speed can kind of be negated, and then pressure.
That's the plan, and it's what I'm working on right now. But it is a challenge. So I'm taking it as an
good.
opportunity to get better,
Yay.
because this is every time I roll with them. I actually had I think it was last week we were rolling together, and I was able to get a really solid cross grip, and I pinned my knuckles to the floor, and he couldn't spin around and invert on me, and I was like, "Ooh, it works! It works!" And then he put me in an armbar, and I was like, "Oh well, that 100% work, but
Well,
that's part
you
of
know,
it, right? That's part of it."
things that work don't work forever. That should
No,
have been the
exactly, yeah.
takeaway. You know,
Yeah.
it works in the moment that it needs to work, and then you move on to the next thing that you need to work.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that was my thing, but yeah.
It is funny, that moment when you pull something off on someone better than you, and you have that moment, what? I did it. And as you're thinking that, they're ahead
I
of you.
think
and
I'll
they've got-
dwell on this moment and appreciate how good I am.
as you're
man, so-
being submitted unconscious.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes you just got to take a moment, whether that moment is,
Passing out or not,
passing out
whatever.
or whatever. Sometimes you just got to take it and be like, aha,
Still a
I
win.
did it.
It's a win.
Yeah. I mean, it was similar the first time I was able to last an entire round with some of like the higher belts. That was a moment. I was just like, yes, I didn't get submitted in under 2 minutes, right? Like, huzzah. It would have been probably 2.5 minutes. I would have been submitted, but still, you got to take your moment sometimes and just.
Congratulations,
it.
by the way. I don't think I've seen you since you got your purple.
Oh yeah,
right.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it. It's been interesting to realize how little I know again. It seems like every time I get a new belt,
all
I'm
the
like,
way
"Ah."
up. All the way,
Yeah,
never
like
stops.
every freaking day for me.
Yeah.
It's actually embarrassing. Every day that goes by, especially here on the collective, I am every day reminded that I'm not that bright or not that special or not that whatever little false narrative that we all create in our little peanuts. It usually gets incised within an hour hanging out over here every morning.
Yeah.
At least that's what I find.
Well, the day you think you know it all is not a good day.
That's not the best day.
That's the beginning of the end at that point.
Yeah.
Alan Shabaro says, admiring your own work. Yes.
Yes, precisely.
100%, Alan. That's always good to do in the middle of a fight. Smart right there. Just stop. Oh yeah, this is a great thing. And talking to horses, I went from BJJ geared for MMA to judo. I prefer the no-gi BJJ. Is this a bias, or do you more prefer no-gi? I think it's a bias in my point of view. I think both are really effective and both should be trained, but I don't think one is particularly better than the other. I know Shaun is biased. He prefers the no-gi.
I am. I'm a no-gi guy.
Oh.
What do you think, Sam? Are you biased?
I'm the opposite, interestingly. So the club I train at is actually predominantly no-gi. That's what they push over here, all the big comps. So the only reason why I fought in the big shows like Grapple Fest and stuff is because it's because people watch it. But I am a lover of the gi. I started obviously judo in like '96, so I'm gi through and through. But I only compete no gi because it's a bigger sport now. Nobody wants to watch gi, so I enjoy both, but I enjoy the chess game of gi far more.
Yeah, we actually before the portion of that video where we were rolling, we were actually playing chess for about 10 minutes, and it was quite interesting because I really enjoy the ability to actually like stop and think about the move and go, now what do I want to do? I find it helps process.
Whereas I don't.
You don't like doing that?
No, couldn't care less. Don't care what the next move is. I'm right here, right now, doing my thing, flowing. However it flows is how it flows. And I'm not trying to solve anything. I'm just trying to solve myself. And so as long as I keep my mind empty and I project into the moment, I'm all right. It doesn't matter where it goes, left, right, up, down, grab this, don't grab that. None of that matters to me. My game is a different game in BJJ than when I first started. And that's why I love no-gi. It allows me to empty my mind and flow and not slow things down. One of my actual issues, probably challenges or whatever, is that I think fast. And because I think fast, it's not that gi bores me. I would never say that. But it doesn't move at the pace that my intellectual mind moves. And so it's not that it's frustrating me or boring me or any of that. My mind is built for no-gi. And weirdly enough, then I have to empty my mind to keep doing no-gi. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's interesting that I actually found one of the things struggled with coaching is because my whole game, especially I'd say no-gi, is off feel. Always has been.
Same for me.
I just move off
Mhm.
feel. So to coach that is extremely difficult.
It
So
is.
all of a sudden you're trying to break down techniques and you're thinking, hold on, I don't actually break. I take what they give me. It's so it's a skill set in itself, coaching it, and being perfectly honest, I think you can learn a lot from coaching, but it's not my passion in BJJ. I don't have a real. I do one-on-one coaching with Bob, who you've had on here, who I just had the opportunity to give his blue belt the other week, actually.
That's awesome.
And I enjoy it with him. Just he's a quick learner. He's athletic. He's strong. All that. But it wouldn't be my forte in BJJ because I enjoy just rolling the feel of it. And
Yeah, you actually saying that, I've never thought about it before, but I've actually created a little bit of a problem for my son who has been doing BJJ for 8 years. And for about 3 years, him and I, he's my main rolling partner. And when COVID locked everything down, we just continued rolling, father son sort of thing. And so what I spent for about 3 years was teaching him how to roll with his eyes closed, just to develop the feel. My game, his game, our game is entirely built on feel and no planning, just interacting in the moment based on the universe, for lack of a better term. We'll roll with face masks on backwards so that neither of us can see. I'll roll with anyone that way. It doesn't matter to me. My entire game is feel based. So the faster it moves, the more fluid it is, the more it pleases me. If it goes in a direction that I completely don't understand, I don't care because I'm not trying to understand it. I'm just trying to be in the moment and interact with the energy that I'm feeling. That's my BJJ, and it's hard to teach, to your point. And so I never taught my son in a day or two or 10 lessons. It was over 3 years with our eyes closed. And so how does he now teach that to someone else? I don't know. But that's the challenge for him to figure out, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's important to be able to do both. I mean, like as I said, I love the floor, but I also like rolling and deciding in my head I am only allowed this submission, and this is how I'm going to get it, and I will do that for that roll. I'll get it. It doesn't matter what submissions they give me before that. I won't take them because I know which one I want. Because then you can actually do the technique. So I like that as well. But yeah,
those are
I've only just started experiencing that myself. I mean, like within the last couple of years, have I found myself able to say to myself, I don't want anything else, but I'm going to get a really groovy arm in triangle or something like that. Whatever, it doesn't much matter. Arm bar and an arm in a triangle. And so if I get it, then it's not that I'm overly pleased. It's just that I give myself a little bit of a nod and say to myself, okay, I guess I can do that now by setting those kind of challenges. But I don't feel comfortable as being able to do it really well all the time. It's a relatively new thing for me, just a couple of years.
Yeah, we actually just brought up some of the senior white belts, the guys who are just about to get their blue belts, up to the advanced class after the fundamentals class. And the instructor at the point in time said, okay, you're going to do 2 minutes of rolling. You're going to get a arm bar and an Ezekiel. If you can't get those, you're going to do push-ups at the end of the 2 minutes. And we were like, okay, cool. And it's fun. Like it's fun to know that you're going to put a particular move on, but it's also fun because they know what's coming and you have to figure out a way to get it when they don't know, when they actually know how to defend it, that kind of stuff.
So you're trying to put it on them and they're trying to defend, and you've got 2 minutes. And if you don't make it, then you got, okay, check. So that's a great drill, except if it's not being run well. And so that requires a good coach to run that moment. And by that, I mean, like, it can reinforce a negative pathway. So if it's a new blue belt with maybe a 3-stripe white belt, and that blue belt is told you're on the clock, make that arm bar happen. Now they're thinking, come hell or high water, because I don't want to do push-ups.
For sure.
And all of a sudden, their technique goes out the window, and they amplify their aggression. Now it's speed and not quite violence, but weight, and all of the things that we're trying to move them away from to become more efficient, more effective, more fluid, more skillful. I don't know. It would have to be managed well, I think.
Yeah, and this one particularly is me and or my training partner Rob and we just both got promoted to purple belt, and the closest belt to us is a 4-stripe white belt. So it was just the purple belts versus kind of the white belts, and that's why it was more directed to us of make these things happen. But again, we're farther enough along that we can go, okay, well, I'm not going to force it because I don't want to hurt anybody, and I don't want to I want to make sure my training partner that I'm the white belt that I'm working with knows that there's a lesson in this rather than me just smashing him.
No, stuff that. They're a white belt. Smash them.
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't making a case to protect the white belts. I was making a case to improve the blue belts.
That's a good point. But the neat part about it was when they gave us when he gave us 2 submissions in the 2 minutes, which was I found quite interesting, was the initial roll. They didn't know which one we were going after right off the bat.
Right.
But the second one, for sure, they knew which one we were going after on the next one. So I got an armbar right off the bat, and Rob got an Ezekiel. And then so as soon as we tap bumped on the next sequence, they knew my training partner knew when Ezekiel was coming. So his hands were here the whole time. And I had to, fake him out to get rid of the hands. And I had to just do something in order to get my hands around his neck. And I actually went for another armbar to get him to release his hands so he would lock up here, and then I wrapped around his neck. Good to go. But I do like the point is that in order to better yourself, you need to understand your own habits, right? Similar to the fact that I was going for that the guard pull right off the bat against Braven. I know that I do that all the time, and I need to know that that doesn't work against him in order to better my chances next time.
Well, you've known that a long time.
It's true.
And you haven't changed a thing until a couple of dudes said, bro, change a thing. That's your job as a purple belt with the whites. You can't just put the herd on them, which is fun. I mean, you should put the herd on them
every once in a while.
But it's kind of mandatory. Put a bit of herd on them and then teach them the lesson of the moment, which is not actually about the Ezekiel. It's deeper than that usually. So.
Exactly. Yeah, the setups and all that stuff. And one of my favorite things to do is smash them right off the bat and then teach them a lesson, because you gotta put dominance right in front. Make sure everyone knows I'm going to crush you. Then I'm going to teach you a lesson.
That's a way.
And of course, being a purple belt, I have to show up late. Okay, miss the warm-ups completely, step in, smash somebody, then teach them a lesson. That's how it works, right?
That is a good fantasy. Yeah.
Anyway, we went into the weeds on jiu-jitsu, but any other percolating thoughts? Anything else you guys got on the topic of the day?
Oh, is there no subject today? Is there not?
I have lots of subjects here. I just we went into the weeds.
Chance was informing us how BJJ works. I think we've checked that box now.
Of course. I mean, I know how to do it, obviously, right?
Obviously, we now know.
I'm telling you, you guys saw the videos. I know what I'm doing. I got choked out twice in the span of a minute and a half. But yeah, if you guys are good to go, I had a thought today, so I wanted to bring it to y'all. I was thinking, I was doing my videos of my morning shoulder routine to try and repair the stuff with my bands and doing all these things. And I have on my arm, lest we forget, tattooed. And I thought to myself while I was doing it was the fact that, the overall meaning of it is that you don't forget those who have fallen. You don't forget the sacrifices made. You live for them. But I think it goes deeper than that, in that, it goes to what we say, do your best. It also, I wore this shirt specifically, as I normally do. It was not a waste. And talking about Afghanistan, of lest we forget, really dives into living life every day well, because we don't want to forget what it's like to live life poorly. What do you guys think?
Define what living life well is and living life poorly.
That's a very good question. So, in my eyes, living to do your best, right? Living your best life, which means that you got to push yourself to move out of your comfort zone and be a better human being every day. And I think that's part of the concept of lest we forget, because by letting yourself go, by allowing yourself to fall into disrepair or disregard of your own life, you are forgetting. You're forgetting what it takes to live a life well. What do you think?
Well, I like Sam's question, and here's why. Because you can hold up your arm all day long and say, lest we forget, and you've already forgotten what lest we forget means because you never identified what you're trying to forget or not forget. What is the objective of lest we forget? What are we trying not to forget? And so until a person keeps reinforcing that on the daily, it's just another tattoo. It's just not another ship and anchor that says mom on it. It has no meaning unless you apply meaning to it by clearly defining what it means to you, and not just once every decade, maybe not once every day, but certainly refreshing the consideration of what these kind of things mean to you. Because today and a year from now, that tattoo will mean something completely different. If you're nuanced, if you're paying attention to the detail, if you're tracking deltas, that tattoo will mean something completely different. But if you look at it from a top-down view or a satellite view over the period of decades, the tattoo means the same thing every time, if you're just looking at it from a long, long, long distance. But the moment that you get up real close to it and start considering what you're thinking about, what you're representing, what you're literally wearing on your arm, what does that mean to you? That's what shapes your life. And I'm not saying that that's a pithy statement of lest we forget, but I do know guys who treat it like a pithy statement, as if by saying it, they are living it. But there are two different things. So I like the clarification, Sam.
Absolutely. And this is, go ahead, Sam.
I'll try and I think I understand what you're saying now. I'll try and echo it a little bit. Is you can get people that live in that time still, and there's a real danger of that. You know, I see that a lot now of living in the past. I mean, I've lost some of my closest friends and role models in Afghanistan and after, but you can live in that time, and that's not healthy either. So, you know, you appreciate the good times and you move forward. And then when you're defining what your best, I mean, I don't live my life for anybody else in that sense, if that's what you're getting at. But about doing your best, I'm not sure people know what their best is.
That's a good point. Yep.
I suppose you've got to consider that before you start to try to do your best, what your best is, what you'd like to be best at, or in your life, what a best version of a life means to you. And it's funny.
And understand you'll never achieve it.
That's right. So Sam, but when we were in the green room, I think we kind of kicked it off along the lines of, I think you said something to the effect of, looks like I'm kind of having a little bit of fun out here, etc. And I gave back the pithy statement of, yeah, just trying to live my best life, bro. And then we kind of went into that little back and forth. And ultimately, I think we ended up with this. Well, all my life did not fall in my lap. That's a long body of work that I've created myself. So if anyone sees anything that's happening right now in my life, it didn't fall off of a tree. I created it. And so my life is shaped by my directions. And if we're going to plan lest we forget in there, what I don't want to forget is all of the hard work that it's taken me to get here. And I want other people out there to understand that they too can have it, but it's just hard work. It's just time. If you keep your nose to the grindstone, you can create any kind of life that you want in any direction that you want. So that's what lest we forget means to me. I don't forget where I came from, and I don't forget how hard it is to get here.
I agree. And I figured you would take this tact, because what I wanted to actually talk about today was, what does it mean? And the concept of meaning in general is that, or I wanted to talk about the concept of meaning because you can take a pithy statement and it can mean something deep to one person. It can touch their soul, but for another person, it can just be a pithy statement, right? There are lots of people that say, lest we forget, once a year on Remembrance Day. You know, they put their poppy down on the cenotaph and cool. And that's the end of it, right? that's their only interaction with it. They have their 1 minute of silence here And that's what it means to them, is a minute of silence and thought. Whereas other people can take it to a whole nother level and allow it to run their life, right? Where, as you were saying, we've lost friends, and now they just live there in that loss, in that time period, versus moving forward and moving on. But do you think that there's a way for others to develop meaning in things, and to take something that is a pithy statement, or that is something that they've never really considered deeply, and develop that into a way of life, or something they can take forward in their life? What do you think, Sam?
I was paused too,
Silence.
waiting for
Everyone was
silence.
thinking, yeah. What do you think?
I'm trying to get my head around the question, as in statements that will change the way people's meaning. I mean, I'm struggling with this in some ways, and the fact is you don't talk about faith on this podcast, which I'll respect. But when you're talking about meaning, I find it very hard to avoid. So,
well,
That's
we don't
cool.
talk about religion.
Yeah, we're not gonna. Yeah, but dude, if you're driven, and I know you are, if you're driven at your core by faith, that's 100% legit. That's a big part of the conversation.
well, that would be 100% my meaning, and even why I do everything. And I don't believe everything is done through my own hard work. It's through, through the glory of God.
And that's
and the grace
cool.
of
I
God.
dig it. I dig it.
So I can't take pride in things I've done. Yes, I can work hard, and we are meant to work hard, but I don't. Nothing I have is from me. Would be my point.
It's a good spin. I love that spin, because that's not how I think. But I totally appreciate it, and because it's not how I think, your way of considering this subject not forces me, but obligates me to think of it in a way that you're thinking of it. And it doesn't mean that you and I are gonna totally synchronize in this moment, and we're both gonna start living each other's lives or whatever. But I do love different opinions like this, and good or bad, it doesn't matter to me. It just makes me think a little bit outside of my own little box. So I'm totally into it, pal.
Yeah. And I mean, the concept of faith is not foreign, right? It's not something that that Shaun or I don't understand or anything. It's the reason we don't talk about religion on the podcast in general is just the fact that it's divisive, right? Mine is better than yours is better than mine, so on and so forth, lots of different things. But the concept of faith, though, I mean, you can have faith in your own strength. You can have faith in the fact that someone else or something else is directing you. You can have faith in lots of different things. I mean, there are people that believe in a flying spaghetti monster. Sure, whatever, right? But the concept is that what drives you, right? What is it that keeps you moving forward? How do you take even something like, I said a pithy statement, but it could be scripture, right?
Yeah,
it could be a line from the Torah. It could be anything.
Yeah. So scripture. I guess my guess is my issue. Like, I enjoy conversations like this. So if you put your meaning in something other than what God, so you put it in man, put it in self, put it in a pithy statement, as you say. My opinion is they'll always let you down, because we're all imperfect. So we let ourselves down. We lie to ourselves every day. I'm going to do this tomorrow. You don't do it. Boom, automatically fell short. Put it in a statement. You said you forget what the statement even means. You're putting your meaning in things that are fallible, and you're defining what's good and what's bad. And don't forget, I've not always had faith. I lived 29 years of my life without it, so I tend to know what the other mindset is as well. But so that would be my kind of point on that, is to put meaning in anything other is risky, in my opinion.
It is, and that's it. It is, and the reason that it's kind of not a gamble, it's because none of us have got anything figured out. And what faith does, to some degree, is gives you a certain sense of trajectory clarity, rather than me muddling around, going this way and that way, and wandering the world, and sometimes backwards. Faith can give you a certain sense of clear forward trajectory, a guiding light, for lack of a better term. And that's that's a pretty handy way to start moving forward and understanding what things mean to you in your life. And so how do people move forward, or how do people improve, or how do they get themselves out of the situation that they're in? What how I always explain it to people is, find something that you can engage in that's going to make you feel like you want to engage in it. And so that could be freaking faith. Faith can
Mhm.
easily slip into that position and have someone engage back in life, because that's the problem, man. If you're not engaged in life, it's literally slipping out of your hands. And that's what I see a lot of guys doing, living in the past and don't know how to move further ahead. And because they've got nothing to latch onto that they can have a certain sense of connection with, or we'll call it pride of executing against, a year from now, they feel like they're no further ahead. And it tends to make people feel a little further back. As their friends progress, they haven't moved an inch. And the delta just keeps getting more and more obvious or visible. And so for me, if it's faith or if it's try to become a macrame world champion, it doesn't matter. Get a sense of purpose, engage in that purpose, and then start meeting a crew or a clan or a tribe as you're in that process. Get some people standing on your left and right that you feel you're aligned with. That's a good way to move forward, and that can be done with faith.
Totally agree. I think also there's a point with meaning that I believe. I think it starts with pithy statements. as bad as that sounds, is that, if you have never heard the term "lest we forget," it's just another statement, right? If you don't know what it means, but even then, when someone just explains it to you and you go, "Oh, okay, that makes sense," right? It's not up until you develop the meaning of something, whether it be faith, whether it be remembrance, whether it be, doing your best, whether it be being a macrame world champion. You have to develop what that means to begin with, and how it applies to you, or how you apply to it, at least in my mind. And I think that that the process itself of developing meaning is how you gain meaning in something.
Yeah, but it takes time. And that's the problem. No one wants to take the time. What? You mean I can't have it by the end of today? I mean, it takes time.
Yeah.
And that is probably the greatest downfall of certain, modern society anyway, is people want it yesterday, and it doesn't work that way.
And then what's even scarier is they believe that they're going to get fulfillment when they do achieve it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know about, your trajectory and my trajectory are probably similar, just in different avenues. But I know this to be true for me. The moment that I think I have achieved, whatever the heck achieved means, it just means that I'm just seeing, it's like I used to call it the reverse triangle philosophy or theory that I put out to my athletes about nearly 20 years ago. And it's the inverted pyramid. The further you go up the pyramid, the more you see. You get halfway up the pyramid, now you're starting to lose sense of how little you know. And by the time you get to the top of the base of the pyramid, it's beyond your reach. You can't see anything beyond that. So I look at life, the things that I do, as a reverse pyramid. I know a lot of people flippity flop it. They look at the pyramid and think, okay, I'm starting at the base. I just want to get to the top. In my head, it's inverted. I start at the tip of whatever I'm looking into, which is a tiny, tiny little dot on that pyramid. And I think, well, here I go, stepping towards the base of the pyramid. And to me, it represents a never-ending journey that even when you get close to the end, we'll call it the base of the pyramid, you can't even see what you're into. So,
yeah. And you have a great understanding of that, which shows in your life, because those, like I said, those that think when they achieve that thing and then they'll go, yes, I've done it. That's
yes, I've made it.
Like,
look at me go.
It's a milestone. If you're talking about them in goals, they're just milestones of growth. And the word process gets used a lot, but it's right, isn't it?
It is right.
So that's why it's really important to understand who we are and not hold our identity in things. because that's a danger as well. I recently had a conversation with somebody, and they mentioned about how they understood how important physical activity was for them, which I agree with. It is very important, but how they would, not be able to live without it. And I find that quite a scary comment. I understand the
it's
benefits
a bad comment.
of physical activity, but if your whole identity is in that, well, what happens if your health, what happens if the worst happens? All of a sudden, what, life's not worth living now? So this is where I feel like we need a deeper identity and deeper purpose to life, and important that we live it. We don't just preach it and we don't practice it. We have to live it. There's a difference.
There is and there's two differences there. There's the difference that society sees, where it's empty words as someone's trying to represent that they're living that life. And that's really discouraging for the people who are viewing it. But it's also discouraging for the person who's doing it, because we all know within ourselves when we're cheating ourselves, or when we're cheating the system, or when we're, more correctly, cheating the process. And so we're doing it to ourselves, and then by proxy, we're doing it to the people around us, and it's not legit.
You can feel that, though. You can feel authenticity.
You can feel it. The dissonance, you can feel it.
Yeah.
There's a great point you brought up there, Shaun, that I actually really like the inverted pyramid concept, is that, when you first start looking for something to achieve, or you start looking for some sort of level to hit and be like, yeah, I made it to the top of the pyramid. There's a fallacy in that, thinking that once you reach the top, you're going to everything, right? Like it's a buildup of information that all of a sudden, like, aha, check, done, right? Versus the inverted pyramid, where you start knowing absolutely nothing right at the tip. And the farther you go up the inverted pyramid, the more information is available to you, which allows you to maneuver. You're not just going up a straight line. You're actually working your way along and figuring out how to get to the top. And then once you reach the top, or the top of the inverted pyramid, the amount of information available to you is that much deeper.
Yeah, it's lateral.
Exactly. So you have much more access to information, whether that be information about yourself, whether that be information about meaning, whether it be information about faith, but it really comes back down to information, because the more you can access, the more you can think, the more you can develop, the more you can have, the more meaning things have, because you've taken the time to learn all of that information to get there. And there's a good couple of comments here. Paul Samplonia says maturity is part of the equation, and it is 100%. And then Talking to Horses says, before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. Sounds like what you're speaking of, as the old adage goes. What do you guys think? Accurate?
I would say the first part is accurate, and I know Jason well enough that it's pretty much on point. I feel the need to tweak it a little bit. So
what? No,
no, I'm contentious. So before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. Check. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water next to someone else, so that they can see how you chop wood and carry water.
There you go. Pass on that information. And no way. Yeah. Sam, what do you think? Is that accurate for what you're thinking?
I like the new tweaked version. It's very good. There's no point learning anything if you don't share it. There's no point. Knowledge is there to be shared.
It's just a solo journey. I ain't into it. I'm onto the freak train ride. I love that. I love learning from other people. I love passing on information to other people. That's how we're supposed to ride this train, is sharing it together.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well said. There you go.
Why your podcast works.
Bro, I'm on the cusp of almost calling it a podcast. I'm still trying to call it a potty in my head.
I do love the fact that he keeps saying, I have 2 potties every day. And I'm like, you do know how that sounds, right?
Yeah. Stick with it then. Stick with it.
I'm sticking with it.
I can see a good logo for a t-shirt.
There you go. A couple of potties a day. There you go.
Let's not.
But so the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because I mean, it is a very important subject to discuss in general, of how to, develop meaning within people, because a lot of times we can get disillusioned with the world, right? The world is it's full of, what is it, 8 billion people now, something like that.
Now let's hang on a sec, just to keep the statements clear. Maybe Chance Burrows does on the regular get disillusioned. So if you want to speak for yourself, that's cool.
Okay.
But if you're speaking for the general population, like me as an example, I don't think that way. I don't. I'm not disillusioned like that all the time. Like my program's pretty tight. The reason that my life is good is because I craft it that way.
Mhm.
And if I'm disillusioned, it's rare. Like there's things that bug me for sure out there, particularly on the internet. And generally it revolves around this: a lot of talk, which is cheap, and no action, which is sweat. So that really is under my skin right now. So I'm a bit disillusioned by how disconnected from how to live a good life versus not. And so I'm a bit disillusioned by that, but that's not my regular MO. I am not regularly disillusioned.
Okay, let me rephrase then. I don't think that everybody is regularly disillusioned. I'm saying that it can be easy to be disillusioned. There is lots out there in the
Not
world
me.
that
No, I'm
that
not
cannot-
easily
you're not-
disillusioned
you're
is
not
my
easily
point. No,
okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
But because so the reason I'm pushing back a touch
Mhm.
is if you're easily disillusioned, then you're not robust. You're not used to adversity.
Mhm.
You have not faced enough challenges in your life so that when that quote unquote disillusion comes at you, you can just, whatever, man. I've seen that 1,000 times. It's no big deal. I think that the penchant or the desire today to knee-jerk react on I'm disillusioned with what just happened, or I'm disillusioned with XYZ, if it's happening frequently, you just haven't bumped your knee enough.
Sam, you got any thoughts? What do you think?
Got a couple of thoughts on that one. I kind of understand what you're saying. So just to jump on what it's interesting what actually bugs you there, Shaun. So that's obviously you're very you know your core values, and when other people aren't living in your core values, that really bugs you, which is interesting to see.
It does, and that's that's
because we believe
shortcoming
that
of
what
mine.
we believe is right.
Right. And I dude, I totally recognize the shortcoming in myself.
Oh,
However, I will say this: the overarching band-aid that helps me say that and not feel too bad about it is because I know it's right.
Yeah.
I know that
I'm not
I know
disagreeing because we've got
dude,
similar core values.
problem, right? It's a problem.
Yeah, it is funny. You know, we do need empathetic mindset at times. We've all got different life experiences, but I know exactly what you were saying. But with regards to the world disillusions, I think what we're talking about is there's a lot of distractions in the world now, in it, and that's the way it's made. We live in a fallen world at the end of the day. So whether it's sex, whether it's money, whether it's gluttony, food, poor nutrition, it's all there. Everything's there to distract you from what you should be focused on. So if that's what you're talking about, yeah, I mean, I agree in that sense. But yeah.
No, go ahead.
Bro, don't even.
You're not getting away.
I was gonna say
there.
I am not. I would say I am also not disillusioned to what the world is, but I'm also human. So can I still be distracted? Of course, because that's human nature and we're all imperfect.
Dude, you're distracting me right now.
With his awesomeness.
It is. It's legit.
Yeah. The reason, so I want to develop this a little bit. So the reason that I say it's easy to get disillusioned is the fact that, as you said, Sam, is that there are lots of distractions out there. There's lots of ways that you can allow yourself to be disillusioned, or allow yourself to be distracted, or allow yourself to lose meaning in things. But it takes an effort to maintain it, right? It takes effort to maintain a meaning in something. It takes effort to live a good life. It takes effort to be, to live a hard line life. So, like, Shaun, you have a program, you run a tight program, 100%, but that takes effort, takes daily effort.
Yeah.
Because there's all kinds of things that would be super easy for you to just be like, yeah, I'm not gonna
because he values his time, and
I do. My time is important, not just for me, but for my family and for the world.
Exactly.
And I was taught discipline by the military. I understand its power. there's barely a day, well, not every day, but there's at least 3 days a week out of the 7 days that I usually ride that I don't want to put my shoes on, man. But discipline puts the shoes on, and then I find a way to motivate myself out there, usually with some you're not going to like it, Sam, AC/DC. And so
I like a bit of ACDC.
all right, bro. All right, we're good. But discipline gets me out the door. Discipline runs my life every day. There's things that I don't want to do that I do. There's things that etc. So
because you don't fool yourself.
So, say again.
Because you're not fooling yourself. Because
That's
without
right. That's right.
discipline, people do become unhappy. When I talk about routine, I'm strict with my morning routine. I don't do my morning routine Monday to Friday. I do it 7 days a week, because why would I want Saturday and Sunday off something that makes me feel good? Like, why would I want to do that?
Take the weekend off from doing good.
I'll sleep in on the weekend. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Because 2 days of the week I don't want to do good. It's called Saturday and Sunday. I need 2 days off from goodness. It makes no sense.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it goes back to meaning, right? If you're taking the days off to not just because you don't want to do it, it means it doesn't mean as much to you. And to what your guys' point is, your discipline, your routine, it means something to you, right? It holds meaning, and in order to maintain the meaning that it holds, you have to keep doing it. And I think that, like, as you said, if you don't want to live a good life 7 days a week, well, that means that your routine holds meaning of having a good life. And I think that is part of developing your meaning, is developing discipline, developing routine, develop anything that you're going to develop into your life, and you're going to implement it in a positive manner. If you're going to continue doing it, it has to have meaning, and you have to develop that meaning through time.
So what's your meaning?
You got to ask your question, right? You got to ask the question. Right, how we started this thing off. Yep. And Sam has got us to a point which, to me, in my mind, for whatever reason, is perfect, because I'm thinking someone wants to run their program 5 days a week, but then they need 2 days off from their program. What? Days off from what? What program are you running 5 days a week, but not the other 2? Life? Oh, now we're talking about life. So what, you're taking 2 days off from life? No. The 2 days that you're taking off is your life. Well, so what's the other 5 days? I mean, it becomes a binary point or a divisive point in someone's life, where some of the week they don't do their life, and the other 2 days they do their life. How does that work? So if you know what your meaning in life is, or if you know what life means to you, you won't take days off from the life that you want to pursue.
That's a great point. Sam?
Unless I've got it wrong. I don't know.
What do you think?
What I said, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I agree.
I'm spooling it in my head thinking, yes, of course, Sam, of course. You got us to this point.
You in a good way. No, that's right. Yeah, but when you're talking about meaning, it's still an interesting, very open question. I'm interested to know what your meaning is.
My meaning? My personal meaning? I'm still developing that. My meaning, honestly, Shaun and I were having this conversation a little while ago about the stag. I thought it was a really cool, interesting conversation. We were likening, being a leader, well, let me ask you this question, because it plays into what my answer will be.
Dude, are you ducking the answer to Sam right now?
No,
that is unbelievable. Don't straw man argument this and redirect it towards the bluebird on the tree outside your window. Get with the answer.
I'm doing my hosting gig right now, but no, it plays into it. So we were talking about this, and I was like, what's the word that comes into your mind when you think of a stag?
Stag. Well, you look at a stag, generally are quite an isolate animal. They're usually on their own, aren't they? But well, you were linking that to leadership in some way there, were you? You mentioned leadership,
we were,
well, I'll have to be open to that turn. First thing that comes is a stag. Powerful.
Power. There you go. That's a good one. I was thinking proud. and I think you said majestic or
regal.
I was
Regal,
going to
like
say
regal.
majestic, and I stopped myself. Okay.
Those were the words that were thrown around.
Yeah.
So those
And-
are 3 words I wouldn't describe a leader if that's where you're going. So.
Right. No, and dude, that's so it's an entire different conversation. It's quite interesting. And it, as you state, that is not kind of part of it, but you're right to think that. So
Yeah.
anyway,
So
Chance Bros, you're
I'm
back
going to come
your
back to it.
stag.
I'm
All
coming
right, here
back
we
to it.
go.
Don't worry. So the whole concept, the reason we started talking about that was we were trying to figure out. Well, we were trying to kind of develop this concept of who you are and what you do. And I always thought of myself as a bit of a defender. I was always looking to help other people, and I've always wanted to assist those around me. It wasn't until recently that I realized that that was actually it was an excuse of external proxy, right? I don't have to deal with my problems if I'm helping someone else because I can deal with their problems.
Called a rescuer. You're in the victim triangle. There.
Exactly. So it took me a while to understand that seeking of meaning through external proxy was not effective because I was always seeking more people to help rather than just turning inwards and looking at myself. And so what I see as meaning has changed over the years, and the development of the concept of the stag and all these things, but came with the understanding that my meaning was to communicate and community build. And this is what I've been working on the last few weeks, I guess. No, maybe a week now, last few days. In my own head is developing my meaning as a community builder. And that's what I really do well in. That's what I really seek out, is to not only develop the community, but like develop the community, right? Being part of it and then developing it upwards to help. So
Can I jump
that's
in
my
on that
meaning.
slightly. I like
By all
that.
means.
Just when you're saying about you're seeking to help people and you were seeing it more as an external than internal. Actually, I would say that is a good meaning, wanting to help people. But what I'm hearing is you are probably helping people for validation.
Yes.
So that's where it's wrong. Because I actually
that's
think
right.
we should put others before ourselves. I genuinely believe that. Yes, we need to fill our cup up to be the best version of us, but we should be seeking to help others. But it's the reason why. What's the core of why you're helping them? What's your heart condition? And that's what I'd want to know, what your heart condition is. So.
And right now, that's where, again, the conversation developed about the stag, and it was the concept that I can help people, but the best way to help people is to make sure that I am in fit fighting order kind of deal. I need to be the best version of myself.
It's to be you.
Exactly. To provide an example for others to do the same. And
literally, Sam has just stated that. I mean, what does it all mean? Do you, bro. Become the best version of you, whatever that means. And in time, however long, a day, a lifetime, you'll see yourself if you get to work on yourself, and then you're you. And now you understand your own meaning, and then you'll be able to do whatever you're supposed to do on this planet because you're doing you. And it's tough. It's tough to be so authentic that you're just you, not the things that people you think want you to be. Just do you, and it'll sort itself out.
And don't miss it, because from what I see, you're doing it. You seem to be pretty honest on your socials, and when you let things slip, and when you're struggling, and when you're trying to be consistent with a new, with your shoulder movements. Now you're being you. You're being you, so don't miss it. I can't wait till I'm me in 2 years' time.
I can't wait until I'm winning me.
Yes, I'm going to be the best me in 5 years. No,
I'm going to be such a winner me in 2 years.
Don't miss it would be my only 2 pence worth there.
And Sam, that's amazing, because the truth of the matter is, when you become whatever the winner you in 2 years, that's actually not the best you. The best you is right now. While you're in the mix, in the trenches, getting gritty. That's the good stuff, man. 2 years from now, you'll wish you were back in the trenches working on this kind of gritty stuff. It's live, it's raw, it's a bit edgy. You can turn it into fun to some degree. So enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Don't look forward to 2 years from now.
I feel like we turned this round well on the horse, didn't we?
Not bad, Sam.
Did
not
pretty
bad.
Well. But this is the reason. Again, the reason why I wanted to get into this is that I find a lot of times the seeking of meaning will give itself meaning. And if you don't seek it, then there's nothing there. You
So
can try to place meaning, but what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of live by that. And the fact is, I talk about people when they're searching about faith. I said it's about asking questions, but it's about accepting the answers that you find. And a lot of people won't accept the answers that they find. So yeah, like you're saying there about seeking meaning, you have to actually ask the questions. So yeah,
and face the answers.
And face
the answers. 100%. So like we said, I mean, 3 different people here, 3 different very viewpoints. Do you know what I mean? So like, I kind of call my mindset more of an eternal mindset. I don't think of the world, I think of eternity. So a whole different mindset to thinking about the world that we live in right now that I believe is fallen. So
sometimes these podcasts feel like eternity when Sam comes over here and drops mega wisdom. Like, what? Will he just stop dropping wisdom? Is this going to go on forever?
Jeez. Yeah.
No, you see, you're trying to make me prideful now. You're bigging me up.
That's right, buddy. I'm throwing the hook out there.
I'm not taking it.
Dang.
I like it. See, more awesomeness right there. That's fantastic. One last comment. One last comment for Winter Storm says, "I'm the best at dealing with others' problems." And it is, the funny thing is, it's really easy, really
avoidance
to avoid your own issues by trying to help other people. But again, if your calling is to help other people and to be, selfless and sacrifice your time for others, absolutely. But understand why you're doing it. Otherwise, it's just a way to get away from your own self. And we're just over an hour now. Sam, you got any final thoughts? Anything still percolating in the back of your head? Other than my jiu-jitsu?
Probably not that we can talk about in 1 minute.
That's right.
I really appreciate you having me on again. Really enjoy these honest, raw conversations. And yeah, thanks very much for having me. And yeah, good. I enjoyed the chat. From BJJ to talking about life's meaning. Can't beat it, can you?
Slipping a little bit of faith in there. Well done.
Yeah, and got faith in there, which is it's a win for me.
It is. It's a win for all of us, buddy. It was good crack, as they say.
Good crack, yeah.
Shaun, any final thoughts? Anything?
No, it was real good to see you, buddy. Please come over again as soon as you can.
Yeah, just put me in the calendar like you did last time.
I can do that. Yeah. I can definitely do that. I got a couple other Irishmen coming in as well, so maybe I'll just link you all up.
That'll be the best crack ever.
Oh man, nobody will understand anything
except us, and that's all that really matters. Screw the rest of you.
Way to do it. I like that. Well, I really appreciate Sam you coming on again. You got an open chair here any day of the week. I know it's later on in the evening for you, but I'll just keep throwing you in the rotation. Make sure that you keep coming back because we love chatting with you. So
appreciate it.
As we learn about our own trip through meaning, as we build the understanding of what life means, we all get to grow every day here on The Collective. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Chivo.